Hi everyone, it's me. So this week we are talking about working in the UK. This video is also sponsored by Claro, which is really exciting. I really appreciate the sponsorship, but I also really appreciate you guys not closing this video immediately. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living and working in the UK for the last 5 years. This video was actually requested by a viewer who had watched some of my old videos about getting started in the UK, getting that first job, but was wondering if I had any more updates, what am I doing now exactly, and how did I get here? And I thought, that's a great idea. So I thought we would do a really quick recap of those old videos. How did I actually get my first job in the UK? And more importantly, how did I get where I am now? What am I doing? Any life tips that I've learned along the way? And we will slot in the Claro ad at some point. All right, I really appreciate you guys watching and I hope you like this video. So without further ado, let's go. So how did I get my first job in the UK? Well, it was a little bit tricky. There's a lot of crying involved, but essentially I was hired to fill a temp position. So a local college needed a temp worker to do like administrative, just basic run-of-the-mill data entry kind of stuff. I used to work at a private school in my home country doing administrative stuff. So I was brought in as a temp worker. And honestly, any foreigners watching, temp work is a wonderful way to get started because nobody really wants it. So for those of us, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I certainly could not be picky. I took a temp position. It was supposed to only be for 3 months, and the college kept renewing it. I did that for a year before finally the college said, you know what, we obviously need this position. They hired me outright as a permanent full-time worker. So that is how I got my first job, was through a temp position, through a recruitment agency. Did that for a year, hired on, and then I had a full-time, permanent, real position. Now, that job was obviously very important because I was paid and I needed to pay my bills, but it was also really instrumental in my how do I explain this? Because of that job and because I was working in an office with some wonderful British people, I learned what British life really meant, which I realize is not like the main purpose of having a job, but as a foreigner, it's pretty important. So fast forward, I was at that position, full-time employee, then what? So a couple of things were happening in the background. One, I had my job at the college. 2, at night, I was studying. So I was enrolling myself in college courses for human resources. I know, extremely thrilling. Basically, my thought process was, and maybe you're in the same boat, I don't have a particular passion for any one career. I've never had one particular skill, you know, where I'm like, this is the job I'm gonna have, this is the job I'm gonna work towards. I've never had that and I probably never will. And you may be in the same boat. It's totally cool. I think 90% of us are like that. Unfortunately, TV and movies kind of make us feel like we have to have a calling. No, I just need a job to pay my bills so I can live a decent life. But I thought if I'm going to work most likely in an office setting, in some sort of administrative setting, then human resources could actually help me. Whether I actually transition into HR or not, at least I have that on my resume or on my CV. So I was working at the college during the week, during the day, and then at night and on weekends, I was doing my college courses. Then on top of that, I was also doing a thing called Adventures in Naps, although it was very small back then. I think for me, and something that I would recommend if you are in a similar boat to me, the name of the game, this is so boring, professional development and self-learning. Please don't close this video. It gets more interesting, I promise. Hi, welcome to the ad portion of this video. If you decide to close this video because you can't be bothered to watch this segment, please know that I will cry myself to sleep. I'm a huge believer in financial independence, which is why I am working with Claro, the sponsor of this video. Claro is a digital financial coach and community that's helping everyday people take control of their money. Claro protects 25 trees for every one of you who signs up using my link in the description. The last time we spoke, Claro protected over 350 trees because of you guys. Anyway, so many of us don't get into financial planning, not because we're lazy, but because we're afraid of making the wrong decision. We don't know what we don't know, so we don't do anything. Claro has a real focus on empowering you to develop confidence around your money and provide support, knowledge, and tools you need to make good financial decisions. You'll get access to a real human financial coach who works with you to help build a personalized financial plan and find financial products that align with your own goals and spending habits, whether that's saving for a house deposit or a big trip abroad. If financial independence interests you at all and you're in the UK, sign up to the waiting list. You'll find out more information about Claro and be the first to know when it launches. You can use my link in the video's description to get started. Registering on the waitlist is free, and again, Claro will protect 25 trees for everyone who signs up. So thanks again to Claro for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get back to my video. So whether you are working in your home country or you are working in the UK as a foreigner, honestly, professional development, self-learning has been absolutely monumental for me personally, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody who doesn't have a career path, who doesn't have any direction, doesn't know what they're doing. Just start learning something. Now that might be college courses like I was doing. The college I was studying with was actually in Canada because I had started that before I moved to England. I just continued it. Distance learning, I mean, you can do it anywhere. It could be a college in your home country. It could be a UK college if you're allowed to study. You could take YouTube tutorials. I mean, there's so much information you can get for free online. There's also loads of subscription services where you can learn stuff online. Just pick something that you're interested in or something that you might find beneficial and just start learning. Now, at the same time, I love making lists. So I made a list because I really didn't know what I wanted to go in any direction. I was directionless, if you will. I looked at my hobbies. Now, 99% of the time you are not going to get a job in a hobby. That's just not how life works, unfortunately. But hobbies can teach us really important skills and really important habits, if that makes sense. So I made a list of all the hobbies that I like, all the things that I'm interested in, and then I dug a little bit deeper and thought, okay, what type of skills am I gaining from these hobbies? And then, next level down, what kind of job could benefit from these skills? So that was not an overnight process. I really thought about it. I also really thought about going to get a degree potentially in the UK. There is a institution called the Open University. You can check it out if you like. They do distance learning and a lot of online learning and a whole bunch of different types of qualifications, but they do degrees, they do different qualifications. I think I already said that. Anyway, growing up, getting a degree was almost a necessity, and I don't think that's the case much now, depending on what your career is, obviously. So I did briefly look at getting a degree from a UK recognized institution, but realized it's not worth it, and the money that I'd be putting into it, just no, not gonna happen. And depending on the type of career you're looking for, you may need to get UK qualifications. That's going to be really dependent on you, what kind of qualifications you already have. They may be transferable to the UK, they may not be, and that's something that you're going to have to do some research yourself. Now back to my list. Doing my hobbies list, doing my skills, and I had a thought, just a random thought pop in. I was doing this hobby called Adventures in Naps, and that entailed coming up with topics and keywords and video ideas, and then filming said video, and then editing said video, and then posting it on various social media platforms, on a website, running my own website, writing copy for my own website. A lot of moving parts. And I started thinking more and more, what could I do with this, if anything? So I got this idea, this little tiny baby of an idea, that what if I pivot a little bit into something that resembles marketing or online marketing or content writing, or not social media per se, but something in that sort of marketing online content sphere. Because while I don't have qualifications and I don't have a degree and I don't have official experience, I can show an employer that I have taught myself how to do this. I've built a YouTube channel and a brand, and I've done that while working full-time and studying in the evenings. So you should hire me anyway. So that was my new direction. I started applying to jobs every day. So what I would recommend is filtering job websites for, postings in the last 24 hours. That way there's not too many to go through each day. Do that each day. And my goal was some kind of entry-level marketing or content type position with a small business. So of course I kept trucking along. I was always taught that you can't quit a job until you have another one lined up. So I was still working, I was still studying, and I was still doing adventures and naps and sleeping somewhere in between all of those things. And eventually I saw a posting. Would you believe it? So it was a entry-level marketing position. They were looking for someone who was a self-starter, who was organized, willing to learn, didn't need to have qualifications necessarily, but show that you can take on this position and you can learn as you go. And I thought, yes, please, sign me up. So I had an interview and I was hired. And guess what? I am still there today. So a hot tip I can give for you guys, if you are a foreigner in the UK and you really don't know what direction you want to go in, look at your hobbies, look at your skills. What kind of position could you use that in? How could you pivot a little bit to make the most of what you are good at in your spare time and do that in a career? Now, obviously, getting a career in your hobby is not likely, but you can maybe use those skills in a new way. Also, I think for certain positions, people are getting further and further away of requiring a degree. Yes, a degree is incredible and it's really important, but I think certain employers are now looking more at self-learning, professional development you have done on your own, and potentially some kind of portfolio that you could show what you can do. So for me, I showed, well, I'm studying HR, and while marketing is not HR, I can study while I'm working full-time. That shows a lot of really promising skills. At the same time, I am teaching myself how to create a YouTube brand, and I'm doing okay at it. I'm teaching myself, I am learning by doing, I'm learning by trial and error, but the fact that I am interested in learning and I'm happy to keep learning, and I would watch tutorials on certain things and teaching myself in the background. Those types of skills are quite desirable as well. So if you are looking to pivot to maybe a different type of career here in the UK, I would really recommend looking at if there's some way that you can make your own sort of portfolio that you could showcase your skills. So maybe you are interested in web design. So build websites for fake products so you can show an employer, hey, look, I did this on my spare time. I'm teaching myself. I'm willing to learn. So I am still working in my marketing position, and of course, I'm still doing adventures and apps on YouTube, on Patreon, and live streaming on Twitch. It's quite busy, but I really enjoy it. In my position, it wasn't a negative that I didn't have UK qualifications, because I really pushed on my CV and on my cover letter that, yeah, I don't have qualifications, but I'm teaching myself, I'm learning by doing. Here's a portfolio, check it out, see what I've done. And I found that that was instrumental in getting my new position and pivoting to a new career here in the UK. Now, of course, it's really going to depend on your career path, and you may have to get a UK qualification. But another thing I would recommend too is if you are in a position, you're hired, ask your boss. What kind of professional development can they offer you? What type of extra learning would they recommend? Would they recommend you go out and get a UK qualification at night? If you have a job and you're interested in expanding that role, talk to your employer and see what they would recommend and what kind of things you can do to improve. Now, doing a list, figuring out my hobbies and my skills and doing a portfolio is not something that's exclusive to expats. I would have done this in Canada had I been living there. But I will say, not to freak people out, but you can probably guess, getting a job as a foreigner is more difficult. A lot of companies don't want to get involved in that. They don't want to deal with work visas and restrictions and all that kind of scary stuff. They also don't want to put money into you as an employee if you're only going to be there for a year and then you got to go back home. So it's something to keep in mind. But I also think it means that foreigners, we need to work a bit harder and we need to prove ourselves a bit more to convince companies to take a chance on us. So it's nothing against you personally, it's nothing against me personally, but it's just the way it is. So if you can bust your butt in professional development, in online courses, in some type of portfolio, then you can really set yourself above the competition even though you are on a working visa. So that has been my journey as a foreigner living in the UK, starting from a temp position and moving onward to pivoting to a new career. It's been a lot of work. It can be very stressful. It can be very intimidating as a foreigner. But I hope that this video was helpful in some way. And if you are in the middle of trying to figure out a direction, just know you're not alone. We are all there with you. And I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you again to Claro for sponsoring this video. I realize nobody likes to watch ads, so I really do appreciate you guys sticking through it. It really supports the channel, and I'm very grateful. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!